So hopefully everybody can see my screen. So optimize processes and increase productivity with performance analytics. So I've always said this: performance analytics is by far one of my, one of my favorite, topics, one of the favorite solutions within ServiceNow. And this is what, and I think that I'm going to be covering a lot of it today. Starting from the basics and then covering a lot of details. We're going to go ahead and get our hands dirty as well with some real practical example. You have been patient, and I really appreciate that. And we're going to give you some pretty good understanding of performance analytics. Plus, Mir's going to come in and then he's going to get his hands dirty. So a little about me. My name is Mohammed, and I am the ServiceNow practice lead at AQL Technologies. So in this agenda, I'm going to go ahead and cover why ServiceNow performance analytics. There's a reporting needs, there's a reporting component to it as well, but what is the need for ServiceNow performance analytics? And then let's go ahead and talk about real world performance analytics dashboard samples. Yes, I'm going to go ahead and show you some real analytics which are part of the ServiceNow world, and then also show you a custom analytics that AQL has developed. Just get a feel of some of the performance analytics that you can develop on the custom side as well. After that, let's go ahead and talk about performance analytics components, okay? And let's configure performance analytics dashboards, okay? How is this different from reporting? And then licensing, best practices, and then the future of performance analytics, okay? So this is going to be, pretty much just going in depth with a lot of things that we have that performance analytics is going to require. Okay, let's get started with introduction. So performance analytics, on the performance analytics in itself is a product that you can use for analyzing all of your data. It lets you know the baseline performance of any kind of processes. So any organization has like this humongous amount of data, so you can optimize and improve it with the proper tools, and you can use performance analytics to collect and analyze the data. And a lot of times, you have, and on the reporting side, you can just go ahead and get like a high level records, but on the analytics side, you have all of this data, which might actually go months and months back, and you want to see and you want to have somebody go ahead and analyze a process, go back and then chew all of the data, analyze the data, and then present it in a very visual manner, so which is basically easy to understand. They can be course correction, they can be trends, they can be forecasting. So this is really what performance analytics provides. And what I highly recommend is having like a new process or workflow for every kind of new process or workflow. Go ahead and have a standard set of performance analytics, dashboards, metrics, and indicators. Okay. And now let's just get started right with the performance analytics in itself. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here and open up some dashboards. And so I have 3 dashboards over here that I'm going to go ahead and review. Okay, and the first one is incident management. And so this is a performance analytic dashboard which comes out of the box as a complementary dashboard with ITSM, and you can go ahead and view it. There's a lot of value in it. You have the first tab is the overview data, and then as you can see, there's a lot of widgets. It's loaded with a lot of widgets. You can go ahead and use all of these widgets for you can go ahead and use all of these widgets for digging into all of the data. Incident open, incident new, incident resolved. So these are several different widgets which come out of the box. You can go ahead and configure that, and there's several different visualization to it, as you can see. Okay. Let's go ahead and switch over to another performance analytic dashboard, which is customer service executive. And again, these are the solutions that you can go ahead and deploy as plugins, and I'll go ahead and show that to you what those plugins are as well. But you can go ahead and deploy these as plugins, and with these plugins, you can go ahead and really dig into a lot of the data and then see all these different widgets. So ranging from overview to where it shows the CSATs, to average time to resolution, open backlogs, to at-risk accounts, okay, to at-risk accounts, and I can change account a little bit, yeah, to at-risk accounts, product overview. So it covers a lot of these different widgets. Now the third one that I'm going to show you is the custom dashboard. So this is the custom dashboard that AQL has developed. It's got several different visualizations, and up in the top. So this is for a request for expenditure applications, which is also popularly known as the CapEx application. Users put in a request for expenditure approval ranging from $5,000 to $50 million, and depending on that, requires approvals. And it plugs into custom tables. Okay, so you can see that there's a lot of, information over here ranging from RFE by department, and I can scroll on and take a look at, different departments. There's finance, there's IT, and there's several different departments, cost centers. We don't have a department, let's just say. It really doesn't happen though. But the good part is that I can go ahead and visualize that using several different visualization techniques over here. Okay, I can use a funnel, and or just use my nice plain simple columns over here. RFE location. So this is, I want to see what are the different locations which are being produced, which are being entered by what are the different locations, and I can see that. Request by, approve or reject status. I can see how many have been approved, how many have been closed, how many have been returned. So a lot of insights into all of the data, as you can see. How many RFEs were created this month? How many were, approval dates, or who have requested that, and the biggest one is, or there's like Shabir and Pavitra, and then Anjali, and then Carla. I can see all the different requests which have been created by, and then requests by year, requests by status. So you can get a glimpse into how powerful performance analytics dashboards can be, right? Okay, and now let's go back and dig into some of these components. I'm going to go back to something which is universal, talk about incident, and then let's go ahead and take open incidents over here. Okay, and with open incidents, I click on it, and it brings me over to one of the main components of performance analytics, which is the Analytic Hub. Okay, and in the Analytic Hub, as you can see over here, I can see, anytime when I'm not able to see any information from the widgets, I click on it, and it brings me over to the Analytics Hub. So it's a pretty powerful, tool, and you get answers to a lot of your different questions, and that to in-depth analysis and exploration. Okay, you can also compare data. So I have a couple different tabs over here. The first one is the overview tab. The second one is the compare tab. Okay, and on the overview tab, I get to see a lot of information. Up in the top, I have targets. I can define those targets. Okay, and these are like the global targets that I can define, or the personal targets. In my case over here, I have a global target, which is set for a certain date range, where I want to have the number of open incidents to 156, down to 156. Okay, and on the right hand side, I can go ahead and see that right now. So let's just say if I'm looking at August the 31st, or if I want to see real time, I can click on this, and then I can see real time as well. Okay, and I can see real time as well. But when I'm looking, and the real time basically depends on if your indicator lets you see that or not. But depending on that, I can also see right underneath this, there is a red line, and this red line is an indicative of where my score stands versus the target. And since my score is supposed to be 156, which is one lower than 157, I can see that there's a gap of -1, which is 0.6%. Okay, and if this was lower than 156, I would see this to be green. So a very visual indication. And then up on the top again, I have targets, and then I have thresholds, Okay, so this basically defines the thresholds. Okay, I don't have any thresholds right now. I can have comments, and and I can also write down comments on this. Now, right underneath that, I can go ahead and specify like a time range, and everything underneath that, it basically changes depending on the time range that I have. So again, once again, the power of all of this is, number one, it's out of the box. Number two, it's like this humongous amount of data, and it's just generating me all of these analytics like real fast within no period of time. Okay. And depending on, I can go ahead and, pretty fancy over here, I can go ahead and stretch this, and then all the analytics underneath that, change depending on the time source that I select over here. Okay. So I'm going to bring it down to a lot smaller. Okay. It might be like this or so. And then just scroll towards the right. Okay. And then up in the time, there's time aggregation as well, depending daily, 7-day, running sum, 28-day running sum, or, depending on how, what kind of sum we have. And underneath over here, I can see a lot of different, metrics, and right over here are the different tools. So now let's go ahead and visualize this, so this is what I'm looking at. I'm looking at the score. And then as you can see, I have labels enabled on this as well. So that's why I see numbers over here. Okay, so let's go ahead and enable and disable the labels over here. So I can see that that these are my number of open incidents. Okay, ranging from June the 6th over all the way till June the 18th. Okay, and that's the range that I've selected. So if I go ahead and move this over to something September, then now I can see from August 29th to September the 10th. Okay, and now if I want to take a look at, if I want to add my target as well to my visual, then actually my target was right here. So this was my target. Okay, and this is what I'm expecting. All right. Now there's also thresholds, so I don't have any thresholds right now. Comments are not available right now, and then there's trends. I can see the trend. How is the trend? Where is the trend right now? Okay, which is these open incidents are decreasing, which is a good thing. Okay, and then I have a confidence band over here. Okay, this is kind of like what stays within my band over here, and then forecasting as well, depending on the licensing that I have. Okay, let me go ahead and disable target, and then here's my forecasting. This is what I expect depending on the data that I've had so far. This is what I expect the forecasting to be. Okay, and then labels, and then year over year, which is another pretty strong analytic option. I want to see all the different years: 23, 22, and 21. Okay, and then it shows me all these different years. Okay, and then let's go ahead and disable that, and then take a look at the score, which is something that we have been looking at. Disable confidence band as well, score, and then change, and then change percent, and then several different visualizations. Do I want to see this as line, as column, as area, and as plane? Okay, so very, very strong analytics over here. Okay, now there's another pretty strong option over here, which is breakdowns. I can specify the breakdowns, and depending on these breakdowns, I can visualize the data. Like in my case, let's just say if I want to take a look at see, these are the elements. So this is the priority, and these are the scores. So what I do over here is that I click on high, and it shows me the high option over here. Okay, where is the priority is high. And now if I go ahead and, so if I go ahead and instead of high, if I go ahead and choose, actually the category side, I'm going to go ahead and choose something which is state. Okay, what I want to see is if it's high categories, now I want to go ahead and see if it's high categories, I want to go ahead and see how these high categories are associated with by the state. Okay, and I can see over here. So I can see over here that this is my graph over here. I can see that for, let's just say, new ones. I want to see how many are the new ones, and so I can apply a filter over here, and then this filter is only going to be for 2. Okay, I cannot have a filter more than 2 on the breakdowns. Okay, and so over here I can visualize that starting from September, not 10th might be, I have 2 priorities. I'm sorry, so I have 2 high priority ones, and then that's how it's been for the past couple of days. Okay. Uh, now, so I can go ahead and remove the filter, and then it just brings me back to where I was before. Now, so with this being said, let's go ahead and take a look at how. So with this being said, let's go ahead and take a look at how behind the scenes this option is going to be, this indicator can be configured. All right, so I'm gonna go back to understanding, open up a few screens over here, and let's try finding my way through these indicators here. Okay. So I'm gonna go to my fulfiller view over here and type in, and type in indicators. Okay, so this is gonna show me on the left-hand side, it's gonna show me a list of all those indicators. Okay, automated, manual, formula, okay, a list of all those indicators. Okay, and then I see automated over here. And so, and this opens up a list of all those indicators. I'm gonna go ahead and search for open incident, okay? And I'm gonna add a star before it and then go ahead and do a search. And this opens up all those indicators that I have in my ServiceNow, which starts with open incidents. And I can see over here that this is the open incident. Okay, I click on the open incident here and let it load up. And let it load up, and you can see my open incident over here. Okay, and so I can see my open incidents over here. I'm sorry, the open incident indicator over here. And now let's go to review this property. So this is how, so when Mihir is going to be creating a custom indicator, he's going to walk you through this whole process of creating it for a custom indicator. But for right now, let's go ahead and review everything which makes up the number of open incidents indicator. All right, so let's scroll down and take a look at the source first. This is primarily the main thing. So it gets the data, but where's it getting the data from? So I need to specify data source, and this is what is the data source. Okay, incidents are open. So let's go ahead and open up. So let's go ahead and open up the indicator data source over here. Okay, by doing exactly what we just did, which is go to the fulfiller view and type in indicator sources. And this opens up a list of all the indicator sources. And I'm gonna go ahead and type in incident. Okay, and then go ahead and have a star before that, if that helps, because I'm looking for open incident.open. Actually, this is what I'm looking for. So let's click open my data source, and let's take a look at, so my incident is feeding on my incident.open data source. So let's go ahead and take a look at how is it configured. So the first thing that I need for incidents.open is a list of all the open incidents only and nothing other than that. I need all the filters to be removed from it. And this is what I see over here. Okay, so the condition, I can specify pretty strong conditions in on this data source. And it's as easy as this. We're open on today or before, okay, and resolve is empty, which is it's not resolved, or resolved after today, and the state is not canceled. So as long as it's not canceled as well. So nice and easy. Okay, so this is the condition. And if you take a look at the fact table over here, it's getting the data from the incident fact table. Okay, and then down at the bottom, I can see the list of all those indicators which are feeding off this fact table. So we just saw incident, and we just saw incident, .open data source. Steve, can you go ahead and please run some polls?
Yeah, you guys can hear me okay?
I can hear you now. Thank you.
Okay. Steve Linker, account manager with AQL Technologies. I'm going to start the first poll. Which ServiceNow version are you currently using? Are you using the premium version or the standard version of performance analytics? Does your organization?
So yeah, sorry. Sorry to cut you there, Steve. So I just started the poll over here. So let's give everybody like a minute to go ahead and enter that poll. Okay. I see. So I see Vancouver 29%, San Diego 29%, Tokyo 0%, and Utah 38%. Okay. So let's close this poll. And then launch a second poll. Are you using the premium version or the standard version of performance analytics? So, all right, so there seems to be decent amount of yes on the premium version. Okay, so which is 60% premium and 40% no. Okay, actually it's getting more than that. So 70% is using premium and 30% is no. Okay. Yeah, let's have everybody use the premium version of performance analytics after you see some of the benefits that you get from it. I'm going to run a third poll before we take it back to
Does your organization frequently use performance analytics?
all right, so seems like 70% are actively using performance analytics. All right, that's good to know. All right, so I'm going to close the polls and let's get back to the webinar here. So so far, just going back to some of the components that we have covered. We covered incident source. I'm sorry, indicator source, and then we were looking into the indicators, the number of open indicators. Okay, so going back to the number of open indicators. So we just saw the data source and we saw how we can go ahead and configure that. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of those other components. I can specify some of the properties of of this indicator. I can go ahead and specify an additional condition over here as well if I'm getting a certain amount of data, and if I want to go ahead and apply for certain more filters on it, I can do that over here. Access control. Now, at times, not all of the data is something that you want visible to everyone, and in that case, you can go ahead and apply it by the roles. So you can make it visible to very specific roles or very specific people, and then apply the security settings on it. Publish, and I can also disable the Analytics Hub. I can also disable it from being published over to the Analytics Hub. And then there's also forecasting, and forecasting depends on the licensing that you have. Let's come down over here and take a look at the breakdowns. Now, this is something that we realized how important this was, because I was able to apply filters, I was able to apply certain breakdowns, and really take a look at how some of these breakdowns affect the visualization that I was some of the visualizations that I can experience from the Analytic Hub. So very strong. I can go ahead and make them invisible as well. But this is where I can go ahead and specify any of those breakdowns. And now one of the most important things are the jobs. Okay, so this is all of the data, but now who's responsible for collecting all of that and collecting huge amount of data? This could be and then analyzing it, chewing it, analyzing it, and generating it into this visualized data. Anybody who's familiar with a lot of this, this huge amount of huge amount of data that needs to be analyzed, you do realize that it takes a lot of time that the processor needs to really look into the data, to chew the data. And so there are these backend jobs over here which run, and these backend jobs do a pretty good, job of really chewing the data. So I have on this indicator, I have two jobs over here. One is the historical data collection. The second one is the daily data collection. So I'm going to go ahead and click on historical data collection job. Let's go ahead and take a look at it. Takes a second over here. And so let's go ahead and take a look into the historical data collection job. So to start with the collection here, the collection parameters. So the operator is relative, okay, which basically means that I'm specifying over here that get me 36 months of data. Go back in time 36 months till yesterday. And this is going to be relative, it's not absolute. And now this job also is active over here, and this job runs on demand. Okay, so I don't want this job, which is chewing 36 amount of data, to run on a daily basis. I'm just gonna run it when I need it. When I need revalidation, that's when I'm gonna go ahead and run it. And this is the context under which this job runs. And so if I scroll down over here, I can see some analytics on this job as well, which is job logs over here. So I can see that it's been running on, on demand basis. That's when I ran it, and this is the amount of time that it takes to run, and then, get fetch all of the data and generate the analytics. And then this is the number of inserts that it does, any new records that it finds. This is what it's bringing back. And there seems to be this amount of warnings as well. And so this is all test data, so I'm not really that concerned. But if there were any kind of warnings, if there were any kind of errors, and especially errors, I would just jump on it right off the bat and take a look at why there are errors. And then these are the list of indicators. Okay, these are the list of all the indicators that are there, which are making use of this job. Okay, now let's go back again to my indicator, and let's take a look at the two jobs that I had. So this was actually, this is the open source that I was looking at. So okay, all right, so okay, it just brought me back to the source. Let me find my way back to to the indicator that I was on, which is And so let's go back, let's go down and take a look at the jobs that I had. So I just reviewed the historical data collection job. Let's go ahead and take a look at the data, at the daily data collection job. Okay. And on the daily data collection job, so this is the job which gets data every single day. All right. And here I have the job, and this is running on, so this is relative, and it just says that get me yesterday's data. That's all it does. Just get me yesterday's data a day back. Okay. And then it's active, and then this is scheduled to run on a daily basis, unlike the last job, which was supposed to be running on a scheduled basis. And then this is when it, I'm sorry, unlike the last job, which was on demand, this is supposed to be running on daily basis. And then this is the time, it's supposed to be running at 1 o'clock. Okay, and then so these are the list of all the indicators, okay, which are feeding off this job. And again, I can see the job logs and then any kind of diagnostics as well. Okay, which is feeding off this, of this job. All right. So we have a decent understanding of data collection jobs as well. And then let's go ahead and take a look at one of the things over here, which is the indicator groups. So this is if you want to go ahead and visually just logically group all of your indicators, then this is what you get. Okay, you can go ahead and just look at, so in my case, like for example, if I had all my custom tables, I can go ahead and group all of those incidents and into RFE. Okay, so this is my custom product, and I have a lot of these indicators, and I can group them together. It just makes it easy for me to find my way back into the list of all the indicators. So I think that I can also have external indicators as well. Let's just say that if you have indicators which are connecting to several different data sources, like for example, over here, you can see the data source and then the SQL statement. So if I were to be connecting it to a database, I can go ahead and specify the data source. I can go ahead and run a query. It's going to get all of that data source and then present it as an external data source. So very, very strong over here. Now, one of the other things that we still that we were looking into, but we still have to, spend some time on it, which is also a very important indicator, is the formula indicator. So I have 3 different types of indicators over here. Okay, one is automated, second one is manual, and the third one is formula. Okay, so automated indicators are the ones which are abused a lot. And the indicators that we just saw was an automated indicator. So manual indicators are pretty much just nothing but, you just go ahead, and if you don't have the data, and if you still want to go ahead and create some KPIs, performance analytics on it, you can go ahead and literally punch in the data in the system and then generate, it's just static data which is sitting in your, almost like an Excel sheet. So formula indicators are pretty strong, and these formula indicators, the data source on these, unlike the automated indicators, is really not it's really not a fact table, but it is either an automated or a manual indicator. So in the formula indicators over here, if I open up any of these over here, percent of incidents not resolved, I can see that there's a formula specified over here. Okay, and I can go ahead and select, and the formula really contains nothing but incidents. Indicators which are like automated indicators. Okay, I can go ahead and select any kind of indicators which have already been created and go ahead and add them in here. So with that being said, I am going to give it to me here so that he can go ahead and create some indicators, custom indicators, and really show it to you.
Let me introduce myself. This is Mihir. I'm Senior ServiceNow Architect with AQL Software Solutions. So let's go ahead into the demo today. So in this demo, I'm gonna show you how to create a custom indicator and how we can visualize that indicator in the Analytics Hub using our custom application, which is RFE. Okay. To do that, to create any performance analytics reports, the first step is to create indicator source. let's go ahead and do that, creating indicator source. From the filter navigator, search for indicator source. Once you search for indicator, you can find options as automated indicators and indicator sources. Click on the indicator sources. And I'm going to create a new indicator source here. Okay, let me give you some name here. Let's say RFE by approval date. All right. Once I give this name, so let me go ahead and select the facts table from where we are pulling the information to showcase in this report. I'll search here as RFE requests. All right. So once I select the facts table, the next step is to select the conditions. So I'm going to select the condition as roll date at or before today. So I want to get all the records where the approval date is until today. So once I select these conditions, let me go ahead and save this indicator source. And also one more thing. So here the valid frequency that I have selected here as a daily. So we can see the chart in this daily format. All right. So once we create this indicator source, the next step is to create indicator itself. So in the filter navigator, once we search for indicator again, we can see that automated indicators. I'm going to click on this and I'm going to create a new indicator for this purpose. And let me give a name here as roll date. And once I provide the name, I'm going to save this. All right. Once we save this indicator, so the next step is we need to um, associate the indicator source, whatever we have created in earlier step. So we need to associate the indicator source to this indicator. So here I will click on and I will search for an item which I have created as indicator source. So I have selected this item here. And here I want to show the aggregated values, so which is a count. So based on the need, so we can select multiple aggregate functions here. So I'm selecting the count in this case. And let me go ahead and save this. Once I save this indicator, the next step is to visualize this in Analytics Hub. So click on the Show Analytics Hub. As soon as for the first time, when I reload the indicator, it will give you, it's going to show this kind of a message because the actual data didn't load it into the this indicator rate. To do that, so we need to run jobs, which is a data collector job. In the filter navigator, if we search for data collector, so we can find an option on the performance analytics data collector. Click on the jobs. For this purpose, I'm gonna create a new job and I will be giving the name as and once I provide the name, so the next thing is to provide when to start and from what time we need to collect this information. So I'll be selecting here as months and I will be giving here the information as let's say 12 months and relative end. So I just wanted to get all the information until yesterday. And if you see these job parameters, so here we can define at what frequency this scheduled job should be running. So for this demo, I will be selecting this as on demand. Once I select this, click on save. So once we configured this scheduled job, it's time to associate indicator. So let me go ahead and select the indicator, what we have created in the previous step. RFE by approval date. Right, I have associate an indicator that created all the necessary information, and it's a time to execute the job now. Click on execute. So this will take a couple of seconds to finish its job. Let me reload the screen one more time. So under this job logs, we can see the status of the job, what is happening with this schedule one. So let me reload for the moment. Still collecting. So meanwhile, I'm gonna open indicator again, what we have created in earlier step. The indicators, select this automated indicators. Click on the indicator that we have created. And here we have an option of show analytics hub. Click on show analytics hub, which will show the information as like this. So there are 536 records are available, and based on, since we have given a date as a daily, so it is showing the graph in this way. So here we have an option to change these graphs into multiple visualizations, either area or a line or spline. Okay, so once we have this indicator created, so the next step is how we can showcase this information to the end users. So end users can see this information in terms of dashboards. For this purpose, I'm going to create a new dashboard here. To do that, so in the filter navigator, I will search for dashboards. And here, I'm going to create a new dashboard by using the create a dashboard option. I'm going to give a name as RFE by rule date. I'm not providing any other details. I just save this information. Click on update. So RFE, let me find it where it is. Okay, once I open this dashboard, there is an option to add widgets. Click on add widgets. Under the widget category, select the performance analytics. And here, I'm going to select a time series. And for this purpose, I'm going to create a new time series. And once we click on add, here it will give you an option to configure this widget. So I'm going to click here to configure this widget. I'm going to give a name to this widget as RFE by role date. And here we provide what is the indicator that should be used to visualize this graph. So I will give as RFE by role date. Okay, and the next thing is, like, it's a time series. I will just give as time series to visualize the graph. And the visualization could be line chart, column chart. We have multiple options here. So I'll be selecting here as a spline chart. If you have any breakdowns, you can associate the breakdowns. So once we have all the information, so I'll click on save. And once it is done, so let me go ahead and see the dashboard. So this is how it will be visible to the end users. Once this dashboard is shared to any group of people along with the report, so it will be visible to the end users. That's all from my side. Over to you, Samir.
Thank you, Mihir. So let me go ahead and start sharing my screen here. All right, so hopefully everybody can see my screen. So I think that we covered this amount of components. Let's go ahead and talk about licensing. So one of the things is, performance analytics is included. So with ITSM, when you get started with it, then you get like a complimentary version of performance analytics. But anything other than that, it's it's going to require purchasing those licensing. And the PA licenses is the performance analytics licenses is not by you know, it's by the solution or by the user. So it's licensed for, like, for example, if it's licensed for ITSM, CSM, and HR, in line with what Mihir was just showing. License and, you know, with what Mihir was just showing. So that's all custom tables. So when you have custom tables, then it's going to require setting up using the performance analytics premium version. So let me go ahead and open up a few screens over here and then show you how that works. And so this is the performance analytics premium. So if you do a search, and if you go over here, performance analytics, and this is I'm in the plugins, okay, then so this is the performance analytics premium, which you need to go ahead and install and enable for creating any kind of you know, custom indicators, and especially those which are connecting with the custom tables. And anything else. And also, if I go back to my plugins over here, and then I remove this, and then for the most part, I just go ahead and type in content pack, then this shows me a list of all of those content packs, you know, that are there with custom analytics. And if I scroll down over here, you're going to see some of those that we have already installed. You know, like, for example, this comes with CSM, you know, so a lot of these, some of these have been installed over here. And so for any of those products, if you need custom analytics, you got to make sure that you have licensing for it, and then come in here and then enable those content packs. It requires performance analytics premium requires a license, you know, to run on production instance as well. But on the test and development environments, you know, as long as you're on the test and the development environments, licenses are not required to activate performance analytics plugins on development and test environments. I think that with that being said, I think that we're coming very close to the end of this session. I really appreciate your patience, everyone, and I am going to be running a series of these webinars. Feel free to ask any kind of questions. I'm not sure if we have enough time right now to answer any kind of questions, but if there are any questions, then I will get back to you with some of those answers, you know, for the questions that you ask. Other than that, thank you so much for everybody for taking out time for this webinar. And while I'm saying this, I'm just trying to find my way to looking at if there's any kind of questions. Okay. I think we got a couple more minutes. So, all right. Well, thank you everybody for your time. And thank you for your patience. Have a great day. Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.